JBN, we keep you informed. I am Michelle Jones, and in the news, Chang admits familiarity could factor in JDF Denham Town tension. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang is defending the ability of the Jamaica Defence JDF to respond to all situations, arguing that the island's soldiers are well trained. Chang, speaking in an interview in the wake of recent clashes between JDF personnel and the residents of Denham Town in Kingston, which has been blanketed by cops and soldiers under Zone of Special Operations, ZOSO, in place for almost 5 years. In one widely circulated video, a man and woman were seen tussling with a soldier and were later detained. In a second video, a woman, who is said to be pregnant, was captured confronting a soldier before being pushed and kicked at by another JDF member. While he did not directly respond to questions as to whether the agitation could be a result of soldiers being assigned what are largely viewed as policing duties, Chang admitted that the hostility could be a result of the length of time the soldiers have been in the space. They are well trained, so that's not the problem, said the National Security Minister. I think it's a level of familiarity based on the time that they have been there, and we also understand that there is some agitation by elements which are not very comfortable with the Army's presence, said Chang, who is also the Deputy Prime Minister. He said that the operations within the Denham Town ZOSO are being reviewed. The matter has been reviewed to see what the real case is, and those that we can correct will be corrected, said Chang. Probes into the incidents are being conducted by the Independent Commission of Investigations as well as the Army. Despite the recent hostility, Chang noted that the ZOSO has brought a significant level of calm to Denham Town, adding that the majority of the citizens want it to remain. Last week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said that he would not be quick to discontinue the security measure based on the recent clashes. Let me make it clear to whichever intelligence is operating behind criminality that the government of Jamaica will not pull down the zone of special operations in Denham Town to give space to criminals, Holness said. There are currently 6 ZOSOs across the island which aim to combat crime in the communities while building out social infrastructure. 5 shot at bar in St. Elizabeth, 2 dead. It was a bloody Friday the 13th in Black River, St. Elizabeth, as 5 people were shot, 2 fatally, at a bar by unknown assailants in Spring Park in the parish capital, Black River. The deceased have been identified as 38-year-old Marlon Gager, shop operator of Spring Park, Black River, St. Elizabeth, and 34-year-old Samantha Johnson, bartender for Spanish Town, St. Catherine address. 3 other people were shot and injured and have since been hospitalized. Reports are that about 9:40 p.m., Gage and Johnson were among a group of people at the bar when they were pounced upon by gunmen traveling on foot who opened fire, hitting them. The police were alerted and they were taken to hospital where Gage was pronounced dead and Johnson died while receiving treatment. Superintendent Dwight Daly, commanding officer for the St. Elizabeth Police, said that an inter-gang conflict in Spring Park has now resulted in 9 people being shot, 5 fatally. St. Anne guest house operator found dead. The operator of a guest house in St. Anne was found dead at the establishment this morning. Police have identified him as Patrick Lawrence, a 76-year-old businessman from Top Road in St. Anne's Bay. Lawrence lived at the premises where he operated the guest house. Police said Lawrence was killed between 10 last night and 6:30 this morning. No motive has yet been established for the killing. It is reported that Lawrence was last seen about 10 last night. The police said about 6:30 this morning, a customer went to rent a room at the guest house. The customer called the businessman on his cell phone several times, all of which went unanswered. The police were called, and during a search of the premises, the now deceased man was found in the yard, lying on his back with wounds to the head. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Ex-prisoner shot dead in Rivoli. The police were early on the scene of a murder in Rivoli, Spanish Town, St. Catherine, where a man was shot dead by a gunman in the community. The deceased, who was only being identified by his alias Liquor, is said to have recently returned from prison. It is reported that several gunshots were heard in the community. Police quickly responded and found the body of the now deceased. Manchester Fire Chief warns speed traps at crash hotspots. Deputy Superintendent Rowan Powell of the Manchester Division of the Jamaica Fire Brigade believes that installing speed traps along accident-prone roadways in the parish could help to reduce cases of reckless driving and major accidents. He made the call for the devices and other accident mitigation measures on the heels of the tragic death of 22-year-old Torian Elliott, who lost her life recently. Reports are that Elliot, her boyfriend, and another person were traveling in a Toyota Crown motor car along the Winston Jones Highway about 7:30 p.m. when they were hit by another vehicle that did not stop. The driver of the Toyota Crown reportedly lost control of the vehicle and it crashed into an embankment. The police are still searching for the second driver. Powell said earlier this week that it took firefighters some 30 minutes to rescue Elliot, as part of the metal rail along the embankment went straight through the vehicle and pinned her down. She was subsequently transported to the Mandeville Regional Hospital along with the other occupants, where she succumbed to her injuries. Noting the difficulty often faced to transport accident victims, with the hospital only serviced by 2 ambulances, Powell is hoping the Mandeville Fire Station can soon be equipped with its own ambulance. We have direct contact with hospital to provide us with ambulance services, but they are always out. So when the need arises, we are seriously challenged in moving persons. When we package persons, sometimes you have to be waiting, hoping that someone with a pickup or a space cab come along, he said. It was just pure carelessness why this young lady lost her life. And I think some attention needs to be placed on these young men that are purchasing these very fast cars, such as the Crowns, the Axios, and the Mark X's. Anytime they crash, the end result is never pretty, Powell said while addressing the Manchester Municipal Corporation meeting on Thursday. Elliot, who was 5 months pregnant, would have graduated from the Knox Community College in October with a bachelor's degree in primary education. If we continue to have our young people losing their lives under these conditions, our country is not going to go anywhere fast. As stakeholders, we all need to come on board to see what we can come up with to help mitigate some of these things, said the deputy superintendent. He named some of the major crash hotspots in the parish as the Winston Jones Highway, as well as the Spur Tree, Penhill, Gutters, and Scotts Pass main roads. Following traffic changes made along the Melrose Bypass recently to advance works on Highway 2000, Commanding Officer of the Manchester Police, Superintendent Lord Darby, has reminded road users to abide by the rules. For the next 7 months, eastbound travelers from Mandeville are expected to use the Old Melrose Road, while the Melrose Bypass will only facilitate those traveling into Mandeville. Darby cautioned motorists who are known to speed along the new route to be mindful of the other road users. Bruce Golding says NHE can do better. The National Housing Trust NHE has a budget to finance housing solutions for low-income earners who are not NHE contributors, says former Prime Minister Bruce Golding. He made the remark while delivering the main address at the E. Nadine Isaacs Memorial Lecture, which was held last week at Jamaica College in St. Andrew. In discussing the Gore Development Limited's legacy in the conceptualization of housing solutions for the underserved population of Jamaica, Golding noted that land ownership is an emotional issue in Jamaica, pointing to housing challenges when it comes to securing land and land titles. Inflows to the NHD are robust enough to allow some leveraging to finance solutions for non-contributors. The NHD pulls in each year around $30 billion of mandatory contributions, especially after the annual drawdowns of budgetary support come to an end in 2025. Some NHD funds could be leveraged with an appropriate guarantee and treated as an investment no different from the range of instruments in which the NHD normally invests to finance housing solutions to those low-income earners who are not NHD contributors. The repayments would return the funds to the Rust, he explained. Golding's comments were made on Friday before employees of the state-run institution took industrial action over what they claimed was the slow pace of salary negotiations. Golding called on the government to put underserved populations on a path to achieve their earnest desires of having a place to live and call their own, where they can raise their families and try to better their lives. Yes, we must continue to provide the $16 million and $17 million two-bedroom house for those whose income can afford it. The teachers, nurses, mid-level managers, supervisors, and technicians. We must encourage Philip and Chris Gore and others like them to continue to produce the quality houses they are building, which have brought so much satisfaction and made such a difference to the well-being of the thousands of their purchasers. We must salute and encourage Food for the Poor to continue to provide their modest but also welcome houses for those who are living in squalor and who are unable on their own to do otherwise, emphasized Golding. The former Prime Minister pointed out that the Housing Act, which was introduced in 1968, empowered the Minister of Housing to allow private developers to bypass the approval requirements of the planning authorities, fast-track their projects, and to save costs. These projects did much to address the needs of the growing urban middle class a segment of the market for which the private sector, operating alone or in partnership with the government, has amply demonstrated its capacity to satisfy. Gore Developments has been a stellar performer in this regard. It has been in existence for 50 of the last 60 years, over which time it has built over 16,000 houses in 19 schemes across 4 parishes. It has been able to deliver these units at competitive prices by maximizing the economies of scale and its meticulous attention to coordinated planning and project management, Golding said. I believe that projects at the NHG's Woodvent Towers, with unit prices averaging over $30 million, should have been left to private sector developers. Not that the NHD should not finance mortgages for that type of project, because eligible purchasers are amongst contributors and they are entitled to receive mortgage benefits like any other contributor. But the time and effort it spent on Woodvent Towers would have been better spent delivering housing solutions to its underserved cohort, Golding continued. 298 new COVID-19 cases in Jamaica, 5 deaths reported. The Ministry of Health and Wellness reported 298 new COVID-19 cases and 5 deaths on Saturday, May 14, bringing the infection total to 132,614 and total deaths to 3,004. The new cases comprise 168 females and 130 males, with ages ranging from 25 days to 97 years. The cases were recorded in Kingston and St. Andrew, 68, St. Catherine, 67, St. James, 57, Westmoreland, 25, Clarendon, 23, St. Anne, 14, Trelawney, 12, St. Mary, 11, Hanover and Manchester, 5 each, St. Elizabeth and St. Thomas, 4 each, and Portland, 3. The deceased include an 81-year-old from St. Elizabeth who died in May 2022, a 93-year-old male from St. Catherine who died in January 2021, previously under investigation, a 50-year-old female from St. Catherine who died in June 2021, an 82-year-old female from St. Catherine, an 89-year-old male from St. Catherine, both of whom died in September 2021. There were 128 recoveries in the last 24 hours, bringing the total to 85,128. Currently, 51 people are hospitalized, 15 of whom are moderately ill, 2 severely ill, and 2 critically ill. Jamaica's positivity rate for the latest round of testing is 28.2%. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.